Okay, let's just jump right into this explainer by imagining a quick scenario. Picture this. You're walking home alone in the dark. The street is completely, totally quiet. Then, suddenly, you hear footsteps right behind you. You spin around, and nobody's there. You keep walking, but yep, the footsteps continue. In an absolute instant, your heart just starts pounding out of your chest. You're breathing faster, your palms are getting sweaty, your muscles instantly tense up, and your stomach, it feels like it literally just dropped out of your body.
In that incredibly visceral moment of pure panic, your body instantly drops absolutely every thought of those unread emails or your unpaid bills or, what you're going to make for dinner. Your entire biological system has suddenly shifted to one single overriding priority: sheer survival. Now, maybe you realize a second later that the footsteps were just your own echo, but your body, it had already prepped you to fight for your life.
Which brings us to Section 1, the ancient biological alarm, perfecting the art of survival.
See, this ancient alarm doesn't actually start in your heart or your muscles. It starts deep, deep inside your brain. When your brain's amygdala detects danger, it doesn't just make a polite little suggestion. It screams at you to act right now, triggering a massive physical response. It fires a lightning-fast signal straight through your nervous system directly to your adrenal glands. Almost instantly, boom, adrenaline floods your system. Your heart beats faster. Why? Because your body is deliberately pumping oxygen and energy to your limbs so you can physically escape a threat. Your blood pressure shoots up, your breathing quickens, and your blood vessels literally change their behavior to say, hey, forget everything else, give the muscles what they need. Honestly, it's an incredibly useful mechanism if you need to outrun a predator.
But let's move to Section 2, when the danger remains. The modern biological glitch.
Right, so here is the absolutely crucial point where things go terribly wrong for us today. Your ancient biology doesn't know the difference between a hungry predator chasing you through the woods and an angry email from your boss, or a massive financial problem, or some crazy impending deadline. Your body reacts to all of them with the exact same alarm system. Evolution designed us for short bursts of danger, right? The threat appears, you run, the threat disappears, and your body recovers. But our modern threats, our jobs, our finances, our relationships, they're unending. They just keep going. So they keep us trapped at a desk in this perpetual, exhausting state of physical alarm, preparing to physically run away from a problem that, well, can really only be solved by sitting perfectly still.
And as that alarm just keeps on ringing, a slower secondary system kicks in, releasing cortisol. Now, it's really important to understand that the infamous stress hormone cortisol isn't inherently bad. Actually, scratch that. You literally need it to regulate your blood sugar and your metabolism. But a massive, massive problem occurs when it's constantly released without any real opportunity to recover. Your body just keeps getting the message that the danger is ongoing, and eventually the whole system starts to buckle under the weight. Which leads into Section 3, how chronic stress hurts, the cost of constant alert.
When you're stuck in this prolonged state, your body basically sacrifices long-term maintenance for immediate, short-term survival. It operates on this strict triage system because it doesn't want to waste energy on anything that isn't urgently necessary to keep you alive right this exact second. So digestion, not an emergency, so it gets paused, which leads to pain or nausea. Your immune system, completely disrupted, leaving you super vulnerable to inflammation and catching every bug that goes around. Your brain gets completely foggy and trapped in these endless worry loops. And your muscles, they are just constantly tense, leaving your jaw, your neck, and your shoulders permanently braced for a physical fight that never actually comes.
Stress drastically shifts how your body allocates energy. It's kind of like running your car's engine in the red at top speed all day, every single day. No wonder chronic stress completely drains your energy. And get this, because your liver is desperately dumping glucose into your bloodstream to fuel this imaginary physical escape, your appetite shifts. You start getting these absolutely desperate cravings for fast, sweet, highly processed foods. Why? Because you're trying to replenish the energy your brain thinks you just burned out running a bear. And that brings us to Section 4, the vicious cycles, when the glitch feeds itself. Eventually, this unending pressure causes the body's disrupted systems to just start collapsing in on themselves, creating this brutal feedback loop. We stop dealing with just the original stressor, and we actually start dealing with the side effects of our own biological alarm system totally short-circuiting. You know that horrible feeling when you wake up at 3 a.m. and your brain decides, hey, it's the perfect time to overanalyze your entire life? Yeah, stress damages your sleep because your brain genuinely thinks it's not safe to close your eyes. But poor sleep absolutely ruins your focus and makes you completely vulnerable to more stress the very next day. You can't handle the pressure, tasks go unfinished, and boom, that creates even more stress.
Because your brain is spending such an enormous amount of energy worrying, it ends up hyper-prioritizing survival-related information. The result? You end up feeling completely mentally exhausted. You start reading the same sentence 3 times in a row, you walk into rooms and entirely forget why you're there, and you become just unable to focus. Listen, you aren't being lazy, your brain is quite literally just out of battery.
And man, this is one of the cruelest ironies when it comes to stress and fitness. We all know working out helps, right? But exercise is a physical challenge followed by recovery, which is exactly what builds strength. Chronic mental stress, on the other hand, is a constant psychological drain with zero recovery. It zaps the exact motivation and physical energy you need to actually go exercise in the first place. So you do less, you feel worse, and the stress just keeps climbing.
Let's move to Section 5, returning to balance. Because stress itself isn't actually the enemy. So how in the world do we fix this broken alarm system and teach our bodies that it is finally safe to stand down? Because right now, so many of us are walking around with an alarm bell that has been ringing for years, and we've honestly just forgotten what silence sounds like. First, we have to recognize how the body adapts. Your constant irritability, your endless worrying, or your inability to relax, that might not be a character flaw at all. It might just be your nervous system adapting to a toxic, unbroken baseline of stress. You've just gotten so incredibly used to being exhausted and tense that you think it's normal. To truly reset, you have to actively deploy recovery tools. You need movement, like walking or cycling, to burn off and regulate those physical hormones. You need prioritized sleep to perform essential body maintenance. You need social connection, because simply talking to someone you trust actually changes how your brain interprets threats. You need deliberate relaxation techniques, like slow breathing, to actively trigger the calm response. And sometimes you just have to completely change a toxic environment that is constantly damaging you.
Please remember this. Your body isn't sabotaging you when your heart races or your stomach hurts. It is trying its absolute best to protect you. Every single reaction has a deeply ingrained biological purpose. But you have to explicitly grant it permission to finally rest. You have to send the biological signal that the danger has passed and you are allowed to recover. The ultimate goal of this explainer isn't to magically eliminate all the stress in your life. I mean, let's be real, that is completely impossible. Exciting things, hard things, life events, they will always cause stress. The real focus here is on resilience. Since you can't avoid stress entirely, you really have to ask yourself this one crucial question. When the biological alarm finally stops ringing, do you know how to help your body actively bounce back?